Russia flexes in Syria as U.S. warns of Ukraine invasion. The U.S. and its closest Western allies believe Russia may invade Ukraine in the next few days. If carried out, such a war would be catastrophic for Eastern Europe and would likely launch tumult the region has not seen in 3 decades, if not since World War II. But such a conflict would not only affect Europe. Last week, the nominee for the next commander of U.S. forces in the Middle East told lawmakers that a Russian invasion of Ukraine is likely to have ripple effects in Syria, where Russian, American, Turkish, and other foreign soldiers are backing a patchwork of local factions across a stalemated battlefield.
Left and right again. Water bars go. Easy.
If Russia does invade Ukraine, they would not hesitate to be able to act as a spoiler in Syria as well, Lieutenant General Michael E. Kurilla told U.S. senators last week. Russian forces backing the regime of President Bashar al-Assad have tested U.S. troops and their Kurdish-led partners on the east side of the Euphrates River in recent years. While most altercations occur in electronic warfare, other run-ins have turned deadly. In early 2018, several hundred Russian Wagner mercenaries and Syrian irregular forces attempted to seize a U.S. and Kurdish-held natural gas field in the country's east, only to be annihilated by U.S. airstrikes approved by the Pentagon. U.S. and Russian commanders maintain a direct phone line known as a deconfliction channel to prevent such incidents in Syria, and that resource has reduced such incidents in recent years, as have direct calls from the Pentagon's top general, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley, to his counterpart Valery Gerasimov in Moscow. Russian forces in Syria, however, have become increasingly assertive over the past few months, a Pentagon watchdog report revealed last week. The Russian military committed an increased number of violations of the deconfliction protocols it has with U.S.-led coalition forces to coordinate air and ground movements in Syria. Compared with previous quarters, the report read, "The majority of those incidents occurred between troops on the ground, and most posed no threat to coalition forces," the Pentagon report said. Once separated by the Euphrates River, the rival powers' troops came into closer proximity after former President Donald Trump ordered, then canceled, a withdrawal of U.S. forces from Syria in 2019. Still, Washington's roughly 900 troops in Syria are considered by policymakers to be among the more vulnerable American forces in the region. Syrian pro-government forces have also harassed U.S. troops in recent years, though American-led coalition personnel have increasingly sought to keep their distance from pro-regime checkpoints. While the US-led coalition still controls the skies over the Northeast, harassment of American aircraft by Russian planes has increased over the past week. Last weekend, U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon aircraft had 3 separate close calls with Russian fighter jets over the Mediterranean, which Pentagon officials called unprofessional. One of the Russian jets, a Su-35, reportedly came within 5 feet of a U.S. Navy plane. The encounters were the first of their kind reported in the region in 2 years. Meanwhile, in Europe, the US has taken overt military intervention on behalf of Kiev off the table, while still sending additional forces to bolster NATO countries. Calling Washington's bluff, Russia has outflanked a US show of force with nuclear-capable B-52 bombers in Eastern Europe by projecting its own bombers southward to the Mediterranean. Earlier this week, Russian long-range Tupolev Tu-22 bombers and MiG-31Ks carrying Kinzhal hypersonic missiles deployed to Moscow's base at Niamey on Syria's northwest coast. Russia's Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu visited Syria this past week amid Russian naval exercises in the Mediterranean. Why Syria matters? The Kremlin's military intervention on behalf of the Assad regime in 2015 gave it a strategic foothold on the Mediterranean, from which Moscow has been able to project mercenaries into Libya and sub-Saharan Africa, raising a strategic challenge to the US outside of Europe.
Left and right again. Water burst, go. Easy money.